interest in this?
Yes, I do.
If I may, can I start with why this has even got on
Okay.
the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I was contacted by a different, adjacent property owner, I think, than who's here today. Asked if the county would be willing to sell these two parcels, which I do have here's some printouts of where they are, if you wanna see that. Anyway, so I sent out a message to the road department and the conservation department to make sure they didn't have any interest in them, and neither of them seemed to be too worried about these two parcels. But in the process, then the city of Spillville has found out about it, and they've sent a letter requesting consideration to give them to the city of Spillville, and now having it on the agenda, you have another adjacent property owner. So I know at least 3 groups or people interested in these parcels. So one being the city of Spillville, and then 2 being adjoining property owners. So that's what I know about it. And I don't think there's any hurry you have to decide anything today, other than, I mean, the first person contacted me several months ago, and it just has been a while to get through the process.
It appears that they're isolated. I mean, there's no road to them.
No.
They just exist out in the middle of other people's property.
Yes.
So to speak.
I don't think the county doesn't seem to have any interest. I mean,
Other than on the river, you can access them.
Exactly. Did you have any questions or? Yeah.
Questions, not really, I guess. Just like to say that we've been taking care of it for the last, how many years after floods. We cleaned up all the flood debris, kept the brush down, mowed it. They don't amount to much. I think the largest one's 4 1/100ths of an acre,
and
One of them doesn't even have an assessed value,
and
and the other one, I think.
acreage would be on here.
Yeah, it was about.
Is your property right next to Ed's and backing up to the river?
No, we're.
Or are you across the river?
So
No, we're
they're right
to
next
Ed's.
to it.
Oh, you,
So-
Yeah, we're next to Ed's.
right down below it there.
So they have this third one here along the river, right?
Right, we have the 300.
Yeah,
Right.
you have this
300.
one and then this right spot right here.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they have this one that's right next to yours, and then they live over here on this one.
Okay, that's what I was trying to.
And then there's the Ed's, and then this person who owns this one is the other local and landowner that contacted me that actually started this whole discussion. So,
And the discussion online is available here too for public record about this land in Spillville. So, it should be added to that.
So the other 2, other than Spillville City, the other 2 have adjacent property.
yes. And the normal procedure, I mean, you could give it to Spillville without doing much of anything other than having Andy prepare the right paperwork, because it's government entity to government entity. If you want to sell it, the normal procedure would, or to transfer it to a private person, the normal procedure would be to take sealed bids and just see who bids the highest. And whether it's one of the 2 adjacent landowners or someone else completely, that isn't at that point, your issue, but
Because the last one we had like this was in Festina, and the person that brought it up ended up
not getting it,
not
that's
being
right.
the high bidder.
Yeah,
Now, it was talked that the city of Spillville long-term wanted to put a trail there. Is that correct?
that was there's a letter from the city of Spillville that's,
Well, actually, it was first brought up on March 20th in an email that said, Steve Kelsey, supervisor, saying, I do not see any use the county may have with these parcels, but the city of Spillville has been discussing a river trail going from North Bridge to the South Bridge connecting to Riverside Park. I believe the town could benefit in the future for their trail. And then the second one said, I spoke with the mayor this afternoon and he'll be sending a formal request because this does fit into their planning to benefit the town residents. Additionally, their desire for a river walking trail fits with the Main Street sidewalk repairs to make a walking loop trail for the people to use. The city has the right-of-way through the same. The city has right-of-way through this same are because of their existing sewer main. These parcels are landlocked currently. Steve Kelsey.
Yeah, and I do have a letter from the city, the mayor.
Is this something that you guys would like to?
Do more research on, I mean, this is the first time we really brought it up in a public meeting, so you may wanna look into it
On a
more.
future agenda.
I could also see long-term, some sort of solar view, that there would be an easement of the trail they go through, they'd have to honor that.
I think we have to be really careful for, when we have supervisors who sit on the city council's bill though, to not have a conflict of duties.
We're aware of that.
Well, just
Surely.
making sure that the community
The reason
knows.
for that email, Shirley, was as I went back and reviewed an email we had back in January from Lee Berkey about this question. So it was an open item that probably ought to be dealt with.
On an agenda, in a meeting, yes.
Right.
All right.
So I'll just put it on another week, you guys can check into it, talk to the neighbors, go look at it, whatever you wanna do, and we'll talk about it again. Okay. The next item is this field, this 10-acre field. You've had a couple presentations here this morning about it. You have a letter in writing that came by email, and I printed copies off from Jody. Andy has prepared the paperwork, but not knowing exactly what your intention was. He has it here if you should wish to offer it for lease under the same terms as the land you did down the other farmland. He has that paperwork ready, but if you should decide to do something else, I'm sure he could get it ready for another board meeting. I think you have three options. You could not do anything, you could offer it for lease under the same terms as your other farmland, or you could consider other terms or uses.
I read through this briefly before we met. We just got this morning from Jody. If we were to decide today to allow for a 10-year lease on that 10 acres, as well as have flexibility to include the CRP-related language that she's included here for us, that keeps that $2,000 worth of planted prairie seed in that 10 acres intact. It helps build the soil over time, adding to the soil health for county-owned land. And that seed then can be harvested in the future, as well as the other plots we have, which goes back to that win-win situation we're talking about for income for the county. That seed we wouldn't have to purchase for the things we have to do by mandate for DOT and federal bills on some of our bridge abutments and roads. So I would like us to entertain this offer.
You can't harvest off of it.
I know, until it's out of CRP, I realize that. But it maintains that prairie forest and establishes a better soil up there. The CRP rating on more than half of that land is like 36.
I think we should probably get some legal advice from Andy, whether a 10-year lease
So
is.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Give
be
me
the
an option.
expert, Andy will have to weigh in on it, but I know that if you're going more than 3, you're gonna have to, it'll involve a public hearing and additional paperwork to do that. Because we've done that before for other purposes, like the
Tower.
plot of land where the cell tower is. Since they didn't want to lease it for short term, if they were investing the money to build a tower, we had to have a public hearing and be able to establish a longer term lease. And so that isn't something you can just decide today, but if you want to look into that, we'll have to get Andy to prepare more paperwork.
I think that's the right idea.
I think we need to have a look into it.
Okay.
And I can send him an email, he's out today doing something else, but I'll send him an email to report next week maybe on what the procedures are for a longer term lease.
That sounds like a good idea.
Because if we can get money off of this rental money, that's better than us just sitting on it ourselves. I think it's a good idea.
Because his property value will increase over time, so we can gain.
And the next thing.
And the reason it even came up is because